So for today, I decided to repaint one of my old drawings. This particular piece I did when I believe I was 14 or 15 years old, somewhere around there. So the first things first is I decided to try to update her pose a little bit, because I found originally her pose was very stiff and robotic-like and not very heroic for Link. So I tried to do a somewhat heroic pose for her, because, well, she is being drawn as Link, and Link is the hero of Hyrule. The subject is an old friend of mine who was very into The Legend of Zelda. At the time, she had hair that reminded me of Link, so that's the reason why I decided she would be a good fit for Link as opposed to The Legend of Zelda. So here I am just doing a quick sketch of what I think she's gonna look like. I based the design off of the Twilight Princess Link version. Now, with that being said, I know that Navi is not in Twilight Princess, but I tried to stay true to my original drawing, so I included Navi. So try not to get too mad about that. So here I am starting out on the actual painting process. Starting out with the most important part of her is the face. I decided to go with a Baroque style lighting with one major light source coming from the left side. But in a bit here you would see that I do add another light source coming from the right, but it's not as intense as the one on the left. I find that painting from one major light source is very easy for me, and I think it looks alright. I'm trying to work on other types of lighting, like from the top, from the bottom and stuff, but that's mostly just me messing around. The reason why I decided to start with this painting is because originally the first drawing I did was one of the first digital pieces I've ever done, and I believe I did that in Paint Tool Psi, I believe. And so a few years later, now that I do digital painting in a professional manner somewhat, I decided it would be a good option to paint one of my oldest friends as her favorite video game character. Now, the one problem I had was, as you can see here, the shirt underneath, because the shirt is under so much pressure from her overclothes, like the tunic and the chainmail underneath. It is, in my opinion, it could have been bunched up, so creating the illusion using light and shadow to create ruffles and to show that the shirt is under pressure. That took me a while to figure that out, but eventually I believe I achieved it. As for the chainmail, well, the chainmail took me a while too. I cut out a big portion of me just playing with brushes, trying to find a good brush to give the illusion of chainmail. Eventually, I believe I used a brush from a brush set I got off of DeviantArt, and while it doesn't exactly look like chainmail, I gotta say it does the job good enough. My only problem was, being that it is metal, technically, I have to have some kind of shine to it, but in the end, I think it looks alright. So here I am just filling in the base colors underneath, instead of just working on a gray underpainting. I decided to just give basic colors to each of the pieces, like the straps are here. The strap actually it was probably one of the harder things for me to paint on this piece, just because I had to make it consistent with the tunic underneath, and if I didn't do it properly, it would look like the leather strap is just on the painting and not something she is wearing. So this took me a while to figure it out, and being that it is supposed to be made of leather, it couldn't really be as shiny, otherwise it would just look like it's metal or something like that. So it took me a while. I believe that took me about close to maybe half an hour just to get the right lighting perfectly. Overall, the whole painting took me about, I gotta say, about 4 or 5 hours. The painting is actually sped up by 1500%. Otherwise, originally the whole video was about 23 minutes long, and then, yeah, so I really don't think you would want to sit around for that long. Here I am starting on the pants. The pants actually was easy compared to the tunic and the shirt, just because it's not under as much pressure, and it wouldn't really ruffle as much as the shirt would. So I found that pretty easy. As for the bracers too, the bracer, I actually found out that it has a little design on it. It's something I haven't really noticed when I played the game, which I thought was a pretty cool thing to find out. It's giving the little design a sense of depth using shadows. I think it turned out pretty well. Could have been probably stretched a little bit further, but eventually I guess it looked alright in the end. So here I am adding the last of the details to the hands, more specifically the gloves, and now the hands. Now for the fingers, I seem to have a problem with fingers and hands just because I kind of draw them to look like sausages. So that's something I'm still working on. And here I am just working on tiny details on the face. The right eye, that took me a while to figure out because I couldn't place my finger on it, but it just looked a little bit off to me. It may be just the style of the eye that I did, but I just decided to leave it because from a distance it looked alright, so I guess that's what really matters. And as for the sword and sheath, I'm not the best at painting metal, but in the end I kind of settled for it, I guess. As for Navi, I decided to repaint her from scratch just because the sketch didn't really work out. In the end, I gotta say it looks much better than what I originally did, and I'm very proud of it.